And yet you took her kids from her possession. Is that correct?
Yes, sir, we did.
Is that your normal activity to take the kids from her possession?
The whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes, Your Honor. William Keller.
Okay. Isn't it true that you were the initial investigating CPS worker in this cause?
Correct.
Okay. And do you recall the incident that got y'all notified of that you needed to investigate anything with Miss Kennedy?
Yes, I do.
And what was that?
Their son, Kyris Scott, tested positive for amphetamines through the meconium at birth.
Okay. And generally, if something like that happens, you go out and do an investigation. Is that correct?
Correct.
And did you request a drug test of Miss Kennedy?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And isn't it true that she took that drug test?
She did take a drug test, correct.
Okay. And she took a hair follicle, correct?
Yes, she did.
Okay. And do you have the lab test for that?
I would be able to get those. No, I don't have them on hand.
Okay. Isn't it true that it came back negative?
The hair follicle came back insufficient sample.
Okay. Did you request another one after that?
As far as on my deal, no, I did not have her submit for another one. I believe Conservatorship would have done that part.
And yet you took her kids from her possession. Is that correct?
Yes, sir, we did.
Okay. And is that your normal activity to take the kids from her possession even after she's taken a drug test and complied with you?
Removing kids is the last option that we do.
So what was your reasoning for removing the kids?
Initially, the investigation began because Kyris Scott tested positive for amphetamines at birth. A few days later, or that day that I went out, we put in place a safety plan. And with that safety plan, it would need for her to have a 24-hour monitor in the home. There was an incident at the home of domestic disturbance. And with that disturbance, Mr. Scott was found with drug paraphernalia, or drugs, period. Her tires were slashed on that incident, so that means there was some form of a weapon involved. The children were also there, so we had received another case regarding that incident and the children's safety. At that point in time, the 24-hour monitor was reported to have not been in the home.
Objection. Hearsay, as far as what somebody else told him that the monitor wasn't there.
All right.
Oh.
Objection sustained.
Okay. So after that, of course, I was dispatched out to the home to address the issues of the domestic disturbance in the new case that we received. When I arrived to the home, the monitor was not there. The home was in a disarray, and there was no power in the home. So at that point, we decided that she would, for the children's safety, need to have the children placed outside of her home.
Okay, hold on. Let me stop you right there. You said we decided. Who decided that the children should be placed outside of the home? Did Miss Kennedy decide with you that the kids should be placed outside the home?
Parental child safety plans, those are voluntarily. Okay. Yes.
So she voluntarily agreed to place the kids outside the home?
Yes, when we proposed that was going to be the next step that we need to take, she agreed to that.
Okay. And did you tell her that it would be for any time frame?
No, I did not.
Okay. Did you, what did you tell her about this safety plan of removing the kids and putting them in a temporary home?
That just due to the allegations that they would need to be placed outside of the home until we further investigated the case.
Okay. Did you continue with your investigation after that?
We were never able to find a place for her to place her children outside of her home voluntarily.
Okay. Have you followed up, and do you know if she has a stable home now?
I no longer have the case. I'm just the investigator. The case was transferred to conservatorship, so they would handle anything further than that.
So who's the one that goes and follows up on the investigation once it gets to conservatorship? Would that be Ms. Yeager?
Correct.
Okay. So after y'all's conversation and she agreed to, you're telling this court that she agreed to temporarily place the kid somewhere else?
Correct.
All right, pass the witness.
Ms. Jasper, any questions?
Yes, Your Honor. What issues did you have, Mr. Keller, with finding outside placement, outside the home placement for the CPSP?
Initially, we tried her mother. Her mother had a live-in boyfriend who was currently on parole or probation, excuse me. We tried her sister. Her sister had a previous valid reason to believe, I guess we would say, finding on a previous CPS case regarding her own children. We also tried a friend that she just provided me, a family friend, we'd say. She currently had 5 children of her own living at her house, and adding an additional 3 children for that one adult caregiver, that would have just been too much. And also towards the end of the afternoon that day, after we've been looking for possible candidates, the paternal grandmother on Jamarius's grandmother, she ended up coming there, and she said that she would be willing to take the children. I informed her that we had already been granted to remove the children, and she could come to the office and we could sit down and discuss how we could possibly place all 3 of the children with her. And later on that afternoon, I didn't hear anything from her. She did end up calling me later, and she informed me that she has a son that's living in her house, that I believe he just finished his parole or probation, and she wasn't willing to, I guess, ask him to leave the home in order for the children to be there.
So each of the placement options that you were provided for an out-of-home voluntary placement were deemed inappropriate or unsafe. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And from there, did you have any other options as far as your reasonable efforts to prevent or eliminate the need for removal?
There were no other options. Those were the people that she gave me. We spent ample time there trying to come up with possible candidates. That's what we came up with.
So from there, there was no other option was there no other option to keep the children safe inside the home?
No, there wasn't.
And was there no other option to place the children outside the home voluntarily?
No, there wasn't.
And was your only other option at that point to remove the children from the home for their safety and in their best interest?
Correct.
I pass the witness, Your Honor.
Mr. Smith
I have no questions, Your Honor.
and Mr. Beckworth.
No questions, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Wagner.
Just briefly, Your Honor. Mr. Keller, do you believe there was a danger to the physical health or safety of the children if they were allowed to remain in the home?
At this point in time, or are you saying at that time? Could you repeat the question?
We're redoing the adversary, so at that point in time, sir.
Okay. Yes, I did believe that there was a risk of them being at the home.
Okay, and do you believe that remaining in the home would have been contrary to the welfare of the children?
Yes.
Okay, and why do you say that?
Again, with the domestic disturbance that had happened at the home, there was drugs found in close proximity, I guess we'd say, of the children. On my visit, there was no power in the home, especially with an infant. That's not suitable. And we hadn't had any confirmation on mother's drug usage.
Okay, and what kind of drugs were found in the home?
Could you repeat that?
What type of drugs were found in the home?
No drugs were found in the home. After the incident that occurred at the home, Mr. Scott was caught with cocaine.
Okay, thank you. Why would you have liked to have seen a negative drug test in this case?
To determine gauge her usage. Her son tested positive for amphetamines. So we needed to know, is she using it? How could this have possibly happened?
And does it give the department cause for concern that an infant tested positive for amphetamines at birth?
Yes, indeed.
Okay. Do you believe an urgent need for protection was required the immediate removal of the children from that situation?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Do you believe that you made all reasonable efforts to keep the children in the home?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And do you believe you made all reasonable efforts to try to put the children with fictive kin or with a kinship placement?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And do you believe that the children would be at a substantial risk of continuing danger if they were returned home?
At that point in time, yes.
Okay. Thank you. I pass the witness.
Mr. Anderson, any other questions? For
Yes,
Mr.
Judge.
Hall?
Just briefly. Mr. Keller, you said Mr. Scott had drugs on him, right?
Correct.
Not Miss Kennedy, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And her tires were slashed, correct?
Correct.
She didn't slash her tires, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And you said at the time you felt that the kids' welfare was in danger, but as it currently sits, she's not with Mr. Scott, is that correct?
I don't have any knowledge on that. When I was done with my investigation, that was the last I've touched the case.
And you just testified that you thought that a negative drug test would be in the kid's best interest before returning them. However, she went and took 2 drug tests, and one came back inconclusive due to a sample, yet you didn't ask for another drug test, did you?
These drug tests weren't taken until after the removal.
When was the removal?
On the I'd have to go back and see. Let's see. The removal was December 28th.
December 28th?
Yes.
Okay. And when did you first go out and do your initial investigation?
My initial investigation was December 23rd.
Okay. And isn't it true you gave her a time frame to go get a drug test?
Correct.
How long did you give her?
48 hours.
So she took a drug test on January 5th, 2021. Is that correct?
I'd have to look back at my notes to see the exact date that she confirmed that she took it.
Okay. Well, so I have a carbon copy from a collection, and the date it says is 1/5/21.
Okay.
So did you get the result? Is that the one? Is that the test that you're talking about where it came back inconclusive?
Correct. That would have to be. That's the only drug test that she took while I had the case at any point.
Okay. And at any time, and you testified that you didn't ask her for another one, correct?
No.
Do you think that would have been helpful to speed the process up of getting your kids back if you would have asked to do a thorough investigation and get one that's conclusive?
No.
Don't
The
think that would have helped?
the test that she has on the 5th, if that's the one that she took, I did have her take that test. Or she asked me if I was ready to take that test, correct?
Okay. So did that one come back inconclusive, or did it come back negative, or do you not know?
That's the one that came back insufficient sample.
And then you still didn't ask her for another one, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And at that time, were you still looking for people to place the children with?
The children were in foster care. At that point in time, she had not provided me any other possible candidates to place her children with.
Okay. Did you reach out to her sister?
No, I didn't.
No? Is there a reason why you didn't reach out to her sister for placement?
I reached out to her sister on the 23rd when I initially investigated, or on the 28th before the removal, I had reached out to her sister.
Okay. So what did you talk to her sister about then?
Keeping the children, taking the children in as
Okay.
placement.
And what was her sister's response?
She was willing to, but she has prior CPS history with a reason to believe finding.
Okay. And what's that reason to believe? Reason to believe what, sir?
She was found to have possibly done whatever the allegations were on that case.
But you don't know what they are?
No, sir, not at this time.
So did y'all do an investigation into that reason to believe finding?
Correct. We check our system. When we screen somebody for a possible candidate, we run their background, check their CPS history. And at that point in time, she wasn't going to be a possible candidate.
So if somebody has a reason to believe designation next to their name, they're not a candidate to keep kids?
Depending on the allegations.
Okay, but you don't know what the allegation is, do you?
I would have to look. We have looked before. I would have to go back and look.
Okay, can you look now? Can you not find it, sir?
The allegations were of sexual. I can't go into any further details regarding that.
So, well, if y'all recall, it would have to be a child, right?
Objection, Your Honor.
Objection sustained.
And y'all have that file in y'all system where for the permanency hearing, we could get a copy of that allegation?
The allegation for whom?
For her sister. For your reasoning for not letting her sister keep the kids temporarily.
If you subpoenaed the records, I'm sure they'd be able to be provided.
Okay. All right. Pass the witness.
All right. Anyone else have any questions for Mr. Keller? All right. So, Mr. Anderson, who's your next?
Ms. Yeager.
Your Honor, I'm actually going to object to calling Ms. Yeager as a witness. We are redoing the adversary hearing, which is solely based on the facts from the investigation, and Ms. Yeager does not have any facts regarding the investigation.
Well, I'll go ahead and let Mr. Anderson ask Ms. Yeager some questions. So I guess we can get in contact with Ms. Yeager so that she can rejoin the meeting, and then Mr. Keller will need to ask you to leave the meeting.
Yes, sir. I'm calling Samantha now.
And do I just leave and is that it or?
That's it. Yes. Thank you.
Okay.
Samantha's rejoining now.
Your Honor, earlier you asked me for Mr. Tarver's address.
Yes.
The address I still have is Forest Drive, Katy, Texas.
Okay, that's the address we had
Okay.
for service. I don't know if.
He may have been in jail at the time.
Okay, if you want to call him and just say we have papers to give him, if he wants to come up to the courthouse or give us a call, we can make arrangements to get that to him.
I'll attempt to get in contact with him.
Ms. Yeager, can you state your name for the record?
Samantha Yeager.
And who are you employed by?
I'm employed by the Department of Family Protective Services.
Okay. And you're the one in charge of the follow-up, correct? Once they are in placement, I guess, conservatorship?
Yes, I'm the conservatorship worker.
Okay. And are you the one that's been keeping track of the kids currently?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Are you the one that's keeping track of the kids currently and their progress, as well as Miss Kennedy?
Keeping track of the kids as far as the conservatorship worker? Yes.
Okay. So you visit them?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Have you been to Miss Kennedy's home?
I have not. It's my understanding she's residing with her sister.
Okay. Wait, have you gone to visit?
No, sir, I have not.
Is there a reason why?
Your Honor, I'm going to object to the relevance of this line of questioning. This has nothing to do with the adversary hearing.
Okay, objection overruled. You may proceed, Mr. Anderson.
Thank you, Judge. You can answer the question, Ms. Yeager.
At this point in time, I don't have a need to see where she resides because I don't have the intention of placing the children back in the home anytime soon.
So you don't have the intention of placing the kids back in the home, correct?
Our goal is family reunification, but at this point, as of today, that is correct. We still have a family plan of service and lifestyle changes that need to be made.
But it's not up to you where the children reside, is it? It's up to this court, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And so don't you think it would be beneficial for this court to hear about her current living situation?
In regards to what aspect?
Well, y'all took the kids out of the home because y'all said she didn't have power, correct?
I can't testify as to the investigation.
Okay, all right. But if that was one of the reasons, wouldn't it be good for this court to know if she has a home with power now?
It would be good to know if Miss Kennedy
Okay.
intended on remaining with her
Objection
sister.
non-responsive after, it would be good to know.
Action sustained.
Okay. Now, you say these lifestyle changes that you want to see, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Are those your lifestyle changes that you come up with?
No, sir. They're the department's lifestyle changes regarding that fall in line with the family plan of service.
Okay. And what are some of these lifestyle changes?
So we'd like to see Ms. Kennedy obtain and maintain sobriety.
Okay.
We'd like to see her obtain and maintain a safe and stable home.
Okay.
We'd like to see Ms. Kennedy, as far as I know, she states that she is employed. We'd like to see verification of that. We'd like to see that she is able to obtain and maintain safe and or legitimate income to be able to meet our children's needs.
Okay. So you want her to be employed and have a safe and stable home, and by your terms, be sober, correct?
By the department's terms of being sober, which would be as evidenced by drug testing results.
Okay. However, other than one meconium test, that's the only allegations y'all have that she would tested positive for any sort of drugs. Is that correct?
Without Ms. Kennedy's participation in the drug test that I previously sent her to, I don't have evidence to say if she is sober or not.
When was the last time you asked for a drug test?
The most recent time was the fingernail drug testing, which she had until April 5th to comply. She did go on April 2nd, the previous Thursday, and those results have not been received by the department as of today.
So she is complying, correct?
With that 1 out of 3 tests, yes, sir.
1 out of 3. What were the other ones?
The other 2 tests is I sent Ms. Kennedy on February 24th, and I sent her again on March 25th, and she did not show up for testing on either one of those in the time that we were requesting.
So March 25th, and then what'd you say, February what?
24th.
But if the drug test from the nails came back negative, then would you say that she's operating a sober life?
I don't believe necessarily one drug test implies a sober lifestyle. We'd like to see it over a period of time.
So now it's not just prove something, you have to continually prove it over and over and over again to you.
Objection, Your Honor. Argument
Is that correct?
Objection sustained.
So even if Miss Kennedy shows you that she can do all those things, it's still not going to be good enough. Isn't that correct, Ms. Yeager?
Your Honor. Argumentative.
That's not correct.
So what does a person have to do for the department to be satisfied that it's up to the department standards?
If you recall, Mr. Anderson, the family plan of service is twofold. It's to obtain and maintain. So the parents have to obtain certain things, and then they need to show the department that they can maintain a sober lifestyle, adequate housing, and meet the needs of their children over a period of time.
Even though based on one thing, you remove these kids from the home.
Objection, misstates the facts and evidence.
Objection sustained.
So safe and stable home. That's one of the criteria, right?
I'm sorry, you cut out the second part
A
of your
safe
statement.
and stable home is one of the criteria y'all would like for her to have, right?
That's correct.
Yet you have yet to go visit her at her home. Isn't that correct?
I have not visited where she's residing. That's correct.
Okay. So if she's been living there for months, you wouldn't know because you haven't gone to go visit her, have you?
My understanding, she's been residing there for about a month, but you're correct. I have not visited her.
And her employment, has she told you where she works?
I don't recall the name. I believe she resides in or works in a nursing home in Belleville, but again, I haven't seen verification.
Have you gone to the nursing home she works at to see if she's there or if she's employed there? Have you contacted them?
I have not, out of respect for Ms. Kennedy's privacy.
Okay. So isn't it true Ms. Kennedy produced drug and alcohol awareness courses that she's taken?
I'm sorry, drug and alcohol awareness courses?
Yes. Isn't it true she's taken 2 4-hour classes on drug and alcohol.
I'm aware that she did a drug and alcohol assessment with Fort Bend Regional Counseling, but I am not aware of awareness classes.
So this one and this one you're not aware of?
I don't recall.
You recall telling her that she needed to take certain programs through y'all's agency?
I'm sorry, did I recall?
Do you recall instructing her that she needed to take some classes through y'all's agency? You're muted, ma'am.
Sorry, through the providers that we contract with? Yes, sir.
And isn't it true that she's been doing that?
That's correct.
Okay. Isn't it also true that she's been coming to her visitations?
Yes, she has become more consistent.
Okay. So don't you think it would be beneficial to follow up on the other things so that way these kids can be returned to their mother?
Follow up on which things?
Her safe and stable home, her employment.
It's Ms. Kennedy's obligation to provide the department with verification of her employment. She is aware that she needs to do that. I can certainly ask her again today if she will provide me evidence of that.
Well, how is she supposed to provide you evidence of a safe and stable home other than telling you if you don't go investigate it?
I will go at some point in time, yes.
So until it's convenient for you, her kids are supposed to stay in a foster home. Is that correct?
Objection, Your Honor.
Objection's overruled.
You may answer.
No, that's not correct.
Okay. And I don't know if I said something funny or not. You seem to laugh, but I mean, her kids not being with her is not funny for us. So do you not think that it's in children's best interest to be with their parent?
If the parent can provide a safe, sober,
Objection, non-responsive.
home.
Objection's overruled. So you can go ahead and answer, Ms. Yeager.
Yes, under certain conditions.
And those conditions that are things that you don't follow up on, right?
I'm sorry?
Those are conditions that you don't follow up to see if they're being met, though, correct?
That's not correct.
So if the drug test comes back negative, in the department's mind, how long until these children are returned to Ms. Kennedy?
We'd like to see Ms. Kennedy work her family service plan. We would like to have her obtain and maintain sobriety of at least 6 to 8 months before we consider putting the children back in the home, as well as we'll go by therapeutic recommendation, and also recommendations by her providers that are meeting her needs with parenting classes, anger management, and drug and individual counseling.
Yet, y'all didn't even follow up from the January drug test that came back inconclusive until late in February. She could have gone and had one again in January after she took.
Objection, counsel is testifying.
Correct?
Objection sustained.
Pass it, Mr. Judge.
All right, Ms. Jasper, any questions?
Yes, Your Honor. Ms. Yeager, do you know when the department took was granted temporary marriage and conservatorship of the child or the children?
Yes, I believe it was on December 30th of 2020.
And what efforts had you made since you were assigned this case as a conservatorship worker to get the mother in this case to drug test?
On February 24th, I sent her a text, which is a notice for her random drug testing at 9:35 in the morning. I made her aware she had a 24-hour window. I spoke to her 3 times that day. She was off that particular day, and she kept reassuring me she was going later. Then she reassured me late in the evening she was going to go the following morning. And then when she did go late after or mid-afternoon of the following day, the test had expired. I sent her again on March 25th, this time at 6:09 a.m. I sent her a text giving her the full day, and she did not go.
And what?
We've also worked to get the fingernail testing done.
And are you aware that there was a prior drug test that was requested of the mother in this case?
I am.
And are you aware of the results of that test?
I'm aware that there was a prior request for fingernail testing, and that didn't take place in the investigative stage. So the conservatorship therefore had the responsibility. But I'm aware of prior. Which test are you referring to, please?
There was a test that was in January that was requested by the investigator, and I'm trying to ascertain where the gap was or why there was a gap between the January test and you requesting it in February.
I believe that gap was because we were following an order for fingernail testing, which would go back a very long period of time. And so I was waiting for that to come to fruition, constantly checking to find out if we had that judge's signed order so that we could initiate that.
And is that that's what caused the delay in you asking for her to show up on the 24th of February? Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And as far as observing the home that the mother is currently in, is the department waiting to receive those test results from the hair follicle before looking at placement in the home with the mother?
Yes.
I pass the witness, Your Honor.
Mr. Smith?
Ms. Yeager, is the sister that Miss Kennedy currently resides with the same sister that was considered for placement of the children?
I don't know the answer to that.
And the department would consider anyone living in the house with a previous CPS history unsafe housing, correct?
That would definitely be a barrier. Yes, sir.
No further questions.
Mr. Beckworth?
No questions, Your Honor.
All right, so any other questions for Ms. Yeager?
Yes, Your Honor.
Oop, I'm sorry. Sorry, I skipped you.
Ms. Yeager, what are the barriers to returning the children home at this point in time?
At this point in time, the barriers are we would like to see, again, evidence of a sober lifestyle. So we'd like to see negative drug tests. We'd also like to see verification of employment. We'd like to see mom follow the recommendations on her psychological, which was individual counseling, as well as parenting classes and anger management. And we would like her to complete her drug and alcohol assessment recommendations, which at this point in time is outpatient. However, discussing with Dr. Nora Okora last Friday, she said she would possibly change her recommendations to inpatient. So we're waiting to follow recommendations of the service providers.
Okay, so even if you went to go look at the home and it was immaculate and it was wonderful, would there still be concerns with placing the children there?
I'm sorry, what was your final question?
I said, even if you were to go look at the home and it was immaculate, the home was fine, would there still be concerns with returning the children at this point in time?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. I pass the witness.
Anyone else have questions?
Yes, Judge, I have a few.
Okay.
And what would those concerns be?
The concerns would be that Ms. Kennedy hasn't finished the recommendations by her psychologist or the recommendations by the drug and alcohol counselor. We do have an open investigation regarding the 10-year-old child of sexual abuse. So we would like to have that addressed and that investigation concluded. We also have areas.
Let me ask you a question. Of the child, that has nothing to do with Miss Kennedy, right? She's not alleged to have been the person, the child, correct?
She's not alleged to be the perpetrator.
Okay, all right. So if she's not alleged to be the perpetrator and the perpetrator is not living with her, then there wouldn't be a problem, correct?
That's not correct. The concern the department has is that Ms. Kennedy is not protective of her children and watchful and mindful of who is around her children.
And is the department not worried about the deterioration of the bond between her and her children that they continually do by adding a, 8-month to year or more time frame on all this reunification?
The department is always mindful and concerned about maintaining that bond between the parent and children.
It doesn't appear to be, ma'am, in this case.
Objection to the sidebar.
Objection sustained.
So is what you're telling this court, no matter what Miss Kennedy does at this point, you're going to consistently testify that it's not safe. Is that correct?
Not correct.
Pass it.
All right. Any other questions for Ms. Yeager?
Yes, Your Honor. Ms. Yeager was in the middle of telling what her concerns were as to why the children could not be placed at home, with the mother. So I would like for her to continue so the court could have that information.
Ms. Yeager, you may continue.
One of the concerns regarding the children and the mom is that Jay, the 10-year-old, appears to have a lot of behavioral issues that stem from, in his opinion, not being heard with outcry multiple times. He's in counseling with his individual therapist, who does not recommend reunification at this point in time, but does recommend more individual counseling with Jay and perhaps eventually progress the family counseling.
I have no further questions. Thank you, Ms. Yeager.
All right. Anything else for Ms. Yeager? All right. So Mr. Anderson, who's your next?
Kathleen Kennedy.
All right. So Ms. Kennedy, if I can get you to raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Yes, sir. Okay, and you're going to have to either get a little closer to the microphone or speak up.
Judge, can you ask Ms. Yeager to leave, please?
Oh, okay. Yes. So Ms. Yeager, since you're a witness, I'll ask you to leave the meeting, please.
Can you state your name for the record, please?
Kathleen Kennedy.
Can everybody hear okay? Ms. Lozano?
You can speak up a little more, but I heard that. Kathleen Kennedy.
And are you the mother of Jamarius Ward, Reasia Tarver, and Kyris Scott?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And ma'am, what is your current employment?
I work at Coney Bell in Sealy. I couldn't hear that.
I couldn't hear that either.
Coney Bell in Sealy, Texas.
So that was Colonial Bell in Sealy, Texas?
Yes, sir. As a CNA.
Okay. And ma'am, how long have you worked there?
Since January the 25th of 2021.
So since January 25th of 2021, you've been consistently employed?
Yes, sir.
And how many days a week do you work there?
About 6 days out of a week.
Okay. Where are you living at, ma'am?
With my sister at 20.
I can't hear.
Yes.
with my sister at 20 South Mechanic Street.
Okay. Is that in Belleville?
Yes, it's in Belleville.
Okay. Is that an apartment?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And how long have you been living with your sister?
Since my kids got taken.
So that would be in December?
Since, by around January the 5th.
So the first part of January you
Yes.
moved in? Okay. And have you lived there ever since?
Yes.
Okay. Do you pay rent?
I give her something for rent, yes.
Okay. Have the lights been turned off?
No,
Is there food in the house?
yes, I get food stamps.
Would you say it's a safe and stable home?
Yes, sir.
Okay. If the kids were to come live with you, would they have beds to sleep in?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Would they have food to eat?
Yes.
Would they have electricity and running water?
Yes, sir.
Ma'am, have you taken any drug and alcohol tests?
I had took my fingernail testing. That was on April the 3rd.
Okay.
And the reason why I haven't went and took the others that she asked me to, because she texts me late in the evening and she's telling me that she texts me at this certain time. I got every proof that shows that she has texted me like when it's like around 11 o'clock. And so okay, I get this message at 11 o'clock to go take a drug test. I got to go wait to Katie to take a drug test and turn around and be at work at 2 o'clock.
So are you talking about 11 o'clock in the morning?
Yes. And she said she texts me at 6 o'clock in the morning. No, she does. No, she never texts me at 6 in the morning to go take a drug test. I got my messages to show that she has texted me at 11 o'clock, going on 12 o'clock to go take a drug test.
And if you get the message in the middle of the day.
I couldn't hear your question, Mr. Anderson.
I'm sorry. If you get the message in the middle of the day, are you able to just run and go?
No, I'll be at work. I have to be at work at 2 o'clock.
What days do you have to be?
The only days that I have off is Wednesdays because that's when I get to go visit my kids.
And do you work on Tuesday before you get your kids on Wednesday?
I have those days. I could choose to have those days off, but lately I've been picking those days up because I need, money.
Okay, listen to my question.
Yes.
Do you work on Tuesday?
No.
So you don't work on Tuesday or Wednesday?
No, I work on Okay, I work on Wednesdays. I'm off on Wednesdays. I'm off on Wednesdays because that's when I see my kids.
Okay, so how does your work schedule go before then?
Tuesdays, I was off on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, but I've been picking Tuesdays up to work.
Okay, so what time do you work on Tuesdays?
2 o'clock.
2 p.m.?
Yes.
Till when?
To 10 o'clock at night.
2 to 10 at night.
Yes, sir.
And then you sleep during the day?
Yes, I sleep during the day.
What time do you sleep?
Mr. Anderson, I cannot hear your question.
I'm sorry. I said, what time do you sleep?
I usually get up about 10 o'clock in the morning.
All right.
Your Honor, we're having difficulty hearing Mr. Anderson's questions.
Okay, I'm sorry. Is that better?
That's better.
Yes.
Okay, I apologize. Oh. Is that better?
Yes.
Okay, I apologize, my technical difficulties here. So if you what time is your visitation for your kids?
On Wednesdays, now, it's in person, she told me from 4 to 5.
Okay, so if you got a notification at 11 on Wednesday to go take a drug test, you would have to either go take the drug test and miss your kids or miss the drug test and see your kids. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Because there's not enough time to do both.
It's not enough time because I have to go way to Houston, which they're supposed to meet me halfway to visit my kids. But so now she tells me the last court date we had went to, it's like make 4 consecutive visits and I get to see my kids in person. So she goes back to now, she doesn't realize that my son has math class at the end of the day and he's failing math class. Now it's like every other week I have to see my kids in person. It's like last week it was in person, this week it's in Zoom. And when we went to the last court date, it's like when you make 4 consecutive visits and I get to see my kids in person. It was never going back to Zoom. And so she's making it like I can't see him in person. And when I went to see my baby, my 1-year-old, she act like she didn't know who I was.
Do you think it's important to see him in person?
Yes. So my baby's only 4 months old. Like I don't have no bond with him.
And is it your opinion that Ms. Yeager is just changing the script on you?
Yes, it's like everything I do or say to her, it's like she retaliating against me with my kids.
Man, what are you trying to do?
I'm doing everything she had asked me to do. I don't get no attitude with her. I do everything she asked me to do. But like I told her, don't start telling a story when you did not send me no text message at 6 o'clock in the morning about taking the drug test. So I felt like she was retaliating against me and she took my visitation and wanted to do it on Zoom.
Are you asking this court to give you more time with your kids?
Yes, I really want my kids back. Like I feel like they took them because I wasn't cooperating with the caseworker when he came out to the home.
You talking about Investigator Keller?
Yes.
You think that they even should have been taken from you?
No, they should never been taken. They said my baby tested positive at the hospital. They waited a whole month later to come and take my kids. He put the 24-hour monitor in the home. He told me the 24-hour monitor was in place because my baby tested positive. He told me the 24-hour monitor was only in place until that Monday. That Monday that he came back out, he gave me 6 hours to find somebody, saying my 24-hour monitor wasn't in place, wasn't in the home when she was standing outside.
So she was standing outside your house?
Yes, she was standing outside my house when he pulled up. And he said she wasn't in the home. I felt like he set me up to get my kids taken.
What was she doing outside the home?
She was on the phone and she was smoking a cigarette.
So you didn't allow cigarette smoking?
No, I don't.
Okay. So because of that, he used that to try and take your kids from you?
Yes. And then, with being, the virus and all that, they had gave us an extension on our light bill. This is when I had my apartment. I've been staying in my apartment a whole year. And they gave us an extension on the light bill. The lights got cut off that morning. He came out. I was on my way to pay my light bill when he had pulled up. So the lights did get disconnected, but I was on my way because I forgot when they were supposed to get disconnected. We were supposed to have the money in that morning before 9 o'clock. He came to the house and he was at my house that whole day.
The day prior?
They had told me when my lights got cut off, I had talked to the woman at the utility place and she told me to bring my money and it was going to get cut back on. But that's when he pulled up and he told me that my kids was getting taken from the house because the 24-hour monitor wasn't in place. And he seen her outside smoking a cigarette. And then we tried to place it with a family member and he used every excuse why my kids couldn't go with one of my family members. It was just he was coming up with everything. And then he came out and he gave me until 4 o'clock to find somebody. Everybody that he did a background test on, it was no, they couldn't go there because they got so many kids. Or it was no, my sister, they trying to say since my sister had a previous case on her with CPS, my kids couldn't go with her. But just to remind you, he put my cousin that had a previous case on her be my 24-hour monitor. And it was just he was using every excuse.
So they're picking and choosing what applies? Passwords.
Ms. Jasper?
Yes, Your Honor. Ma'am, do you need a moment?
No,
Okay. Your sister that you're living with, what's her name?
Alexis Canty.
Alexis who?
Canty.
Canty. Is this the sister whose name you gave to the investigator to place your children with?
Yes, I gave him everybody. We named so many people.
Objection, Your Honor, not responsive after that part.
Object sustained.
Okay. Are you familiar with CPS's policy regarding placement with people who have previous reason to believe findings in CPS cases personally?
Speculation as to if she would be familiar with their policies. She's never worked for
She was
them.
aware.
Yeah, she was just asked if she's aware. If she's not aware, she says no.
I heard things, but at the same time, it changes.
Objection, Your Honor, non-responsive.
Okay. Objection sustained.
Thank you. Are you aware of the policy? Personally?
Not personally, no.
Okay. So it's possible that there could be different rules for different types of cases that persons have or that they have reason to believe findings for with CPS, which could change if they're allowed to be a placement or if there's a bar for placement, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So you said that you're currently working as a CNA, so a certified nurse's assistant. Is that correct?
Yes.
And I'm unable to hear you. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Okay. And you have both Tuesday and Wednesdays off, correct?
Yes, correct.
And you have visitation with your children on Wednesdays from 4 to 5?
Yes.
Now, Tuesday, it is your off day, but you stated that you're working that day and you decided to work those days. Is that correct?
When they call me in and they need help, yes, I do go in.
But it is your choice to do so. Is that correct?
Correct.
And at this time, the sister that you're living with, just to confirm, is the same sister with the reason to believe finding, right?
Correct.
Is there anyone else who lives in the home?
No, just me and my sister.
And you're receiving how much in food stamps a month?
Now they gave me like $400, but they cut me off. I just did I had to renew my food stamps last month, and they told me I wasn't gonna get none for this month.
And did they give you a reason why you wouldn't?
Because I didn't turn in my documents on time, so I did go back and do the food stamp.
I couldn't hear the last part. I'm sorry.
I read and did my food stamps because I didn't turn in my documentation on time. So that's why I didn't get them for last month. But this month I did go. I'm waiting on them to give me a date to interview me.
Okay. And in addition to the food stamps, what other ways would you be providing for your children if they went?
I mean, I do. My sister, she works. I work.
Provided that the department could not, or the children weren't able to be placed in that home with you and your sister, how would you yourself be providing for those children?
I do work. I do have a job. I can provide for my kids. I always been providing for my kids.
And with working you work the 2 to 10 shift in the evening?
Yes.
Who would watch the children when you're at work?
I have other sisters. I have a twin sister that's willing to help me.
Did you provide your twin sister's name as a possible placement for your children?
Yes, I named everybody I can think of. I even like his aunt is a foster parent. I even gave him her number and everything.
Okay. And to your knowledge, each person that you gave them, the department let you know that the children couldn't be placed with them.
Yes, he gave us every excuse, every reason. Oh, they didn't answer the phone, or they had something on their background, and I know for a fact that they didn't have anything on their background.
were you, so you're, okay. If the department was unable to get in touch with someone, do you think that it would be possible for the department to place children there without even speaking to the person?
I mean.
Objection, speculation.
Objection sustained.
I pass the witness, Your Honor.
Mr. Smith
No questions, Your Honor.
and Mr. Beckworth,
No questions, Your Honor.
Ms. Wagner.
Ma'am, do you understand the importance of drug screening for the department? Ma'am, I'm so sorry. If you answered the question, I could not hear you.
Yes.
Okay. When the department sends you for a test, you have 24 hours to complete it, correct?
Yes, but the last drug test that she signed me to, she said I had to have it in that day.
Okay, but you do have 24 hours, correct?
Yes.
So if you're sent at 11 o'clock, you have until 11 o'clock the next day, right?
Correct.
Okay, and if you go to work at 2, why can't you go the following morning?
I went the following morning. They said that when I got there, it was expired.
Okay, but you understand it's a 24-hour rule, right?
Correct. I mean, I can't do nothing about it if they said it's expired.
Objection, non-responsive.
Objection sustained.
Ma'am, did you cut your fingernails and toenails prior to your test on April 3rd?
No.
You did not?
No.
Did you pour bleach on your feet?
No.
Okay. Is there any chance that we're going to come back with an insufficient sample once again?
It shouldn't be no reason why. No.
Okay. So you talked about the importance of having time with your kids, correct?
Yes.
However, the last in-person visit, did you show up 30 minutes late?
I was in traffic.
Okay, but you showed up 30 minutes late to a 1-hour visit, correct?
Correct.
Okay, have you ever no-showed for Zoom visits?
No Zoom visit. I didn't go because I told her I was going to meet her at the place.
Okay, have you ever no-showed for a Zoom visit?
At the beginning of the case, yes, because when I started my job.
Have you ever no-showed since we started in-person visits?
I just seen her one time in person. That was the only time.
And thereafter you missed a visit, didn't you?
No, not in-person visit, no.
A Zoom visit, ma'am.
A Zoom visit, yes.
How do you
It's
think
supposed to be
that
in person.
impacts
It's
Jay?
supposed to be in person.
Objection, non-responsive.
And I couldn't hear what the answer was. So could you restate your question, Ms. Wagner?
My question is, how does it impact Jay when she doesn't show up to visits?
Objection, speculation.
Objection sustained.
Have you been made aware that Jay is failing math?
Yes, I've been aware, yes.
Okay, and do you know what period of the day that class is?
They said it was at the end of the day.
Okay, do you think it's important for him to attend his math class?
Yes, my kids need their education. Yes, I know that, yes.
Okay, and you understand that summer's coming up and we can start in-person visits weekly soon, correct?
It's supposed to be in-person visits. Y'all going back to Zoom.
Objection, non-responsive.
And could you restate the question, Ms. Wagner?
Yes, Your Honor. My question is, do you understand that summer's coming up and we can resume all the time weekly in-person visits? I'm so sorry. If you answered, I couldn't hear.
Yes.
Okay. Do you think that having in-person visits every other week allows Jay to attend his math class?
Yes, but at the same time.
After but.
Okay. I'll let her go ahead and answer. Go ahead.
Go ahead and answer.
Ms. Campbell.
Yes, but y'all would it seems like y'all resigning on Jay. I have other 2 kids, they can't talk. It's just not, Yes, he needs his education. All my kids need their education. Y'all keep referring to Jay. I have a 1-year-old and I have a 4-month-old. Like,
Ma'am, do you think those children need consistency?
ma'am,
Do you believe your children need consistency?
yes.
Do you think it was a good thing that you showed up 30 minutes late to a 1-hour visit?
No, it's not a good thing, but when I'm in traffic, I can't help that. And they were supposed to meet me halfway, but it's not even halfway. It's almost an hour.
Do you think it's a good thing that you're missing Zoom visits?
No, it's not a good thing, but when it's supposed to be in person, I want to see my kids in person, then.
So are you missing
Going
this
back
out of
to
spite? Ma'am, are you missing Zoom visits out of spite?
No. But I feel like my caseworker is doing things out of spite. Yes.
Then why are you missing Zoom visits?
Because it was supposed to be an in-person visit. And that's what I told my caseworker.
Your Honor, I'll pass the witness.
All right, any other questions for Ms. Kennedy?
Yes, Judge. I just have a couple. So your son, the 10-year-old, he's failing with the people that he's living with. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. You think that's good for him?
No.
Do you think that's in his best interest?
No.
Okay. Would you agree that kids need consistency, correct?
Correct.
Okay. But would you agree with me that they also need their mother's touch?
Right. And that's what I feel like. He's not doing good in school. When he was in school down here, the only class that he was failing was reading.
Okay. And you said something earlier about how the department is focused on Jay only, correct?
Yes.
Do you think that the other two get anything out of a Zoom?
No, because I can't bond with them on Zoom. They can't even talk.
So the only one that you're getting anything out of with Zoom is Jay.
Jay.
Do you think it'd be more beneficial to have weekly in-person visits?
Correct.
Ms. Wagner keeps going back to this Miss Zoom deal. What happened there? Tell the court what happened.
You see, it was supposed to be every week I get to see him I get to see him in person. I missed Zoom because I told her that I would meet her at the place. She's saying that she wasn't going to meet me at the place because we was going back to Zoom, and that was not what the court ordered last time. And I told her, you want to, and I wanted to give my kids their Easter baskets, which they still haven't received. And I told her I don't want to go back to Zoom because when I send them stuff or she asks me for anything, they get it almost a month later. They don't receive it on time.
Did they enjoy seeing you in person?
Yes, Jay was very happy, but it was just my 1-year-old. She didn't want to come to me. She didn't know who I was. She never acted like that.
And do you think that the department has caused some of this
very
distance between you and your baby?
Yes.
And that if you don't get a hold of it now, it could only get worse?
Yes, sir.
Is that why you're asking this court to give you more time to see your children?
Yes, I will.
And have you done everything that they're asking?
I've done everything they had asked me to do.
Except the things you've already stated why
I missed it. Yes, sir.
And did you miss any of those intentionally out of spite against the department?
No.
Or to hide anything?
No, I don't have anything to hide. Like I told her, like I'm willing to do everything to get my kids back. I don't care what they ask me to do. I would do it. I just want my kids back.
Would you be willing to put a drug patch on if they would be willing to give you your kids back?
Yes, sir.
To where there would be 24-hour monitoring
Right.
for drugs and alcohol, correct?
Right. Yes, sir.
So if the court was to order you to wear a drug patch, would you be able to do that?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And the results could be monitored by the department. Pass away.
Any other questions for Ms. Kennedy? And so, Ms. Kennedy, is the visit that's set up for this Wednesday, is that an in-person or is that Zoom on this Wednesday, the 14th?
It was supposed to be on Zoom, but I think she had texted me and told me it was in person since they was up. I couldn't see them last Wednesday. They said they were sick.
Okay, so this Wednesday, April 14th, it's set for an in-person.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, any other witnesses?
I have none, Judge.
All right, so I guess, Mr. Anderson, what are you asking for today?
Judge, I'm asking that Ms. Kennedy, at minimum, be allotted more time with her kids. I have never seen children taken away for so little in my life. And no matter what the person does, the department keeps taking more and more and they don't even give her a chance to prove herself. And then they don't follow up with anything that she does do. This looks to be more like a witch hunt instead of looking out for what's in the best interest of these kids. The best interest of these kids is to be around their mother and forming that bond that a mom and a 4-month-old should have, not trying to come up with more and more reasons to keep them away. They want to say that Jamarius is doing better, yet he's failing a class. He's failing math now. So this clearly isn't something where he's striving in the home that they put him in. So Judge, you can put a drug monitor patch on Miss Kennedy if that'll make the court feel better. Because this whole thing, they said employment. She has employment, a stable home. She has a stable home. There is no conviction that I'm aware of against her sister for any kind of abuse, yet they're wanting to come up with some reason why now her sister can't be around the kids. It's just asinine. Everything that she tries to do better, the department puts a stop to it. So we would ask for the court to come in, say, stop. Put these kids with their mom so they can have that bonding time and put a drug patch on her. Even if it's for the weekend right now, just more than an hour a day, 1 day a week. It's only going to get worse for Miss Kennedy with the bond that her kids have if the department keeps stepping in and saying, no, you have to do more. You have to do more. You have to do more. Nothing's ever going to be good enough for them. They came into this wanting to terminate her relationship with the kids. So we would ask that the court step in and do what's right for these kids and give Miss Kennedy more time with her children, Judge.
Okay. And Ms. Jasper may not know this question. It may be something that we asked for Ms. Yeager, but do we know if there's another drug test scheduled, or is that something that could be given tomorrow? Tomorrow's Tuesday.
And the last test that I know of was a fingernail test, excuse me. And that was the one that Ms. Yeager testified to, as well as mom, that happened on the 3rd, I believe she said. There isn't one scheduled, a urinalysis or any other one scheduled, because we were waiting for those test results. It's possible that we could do a 2054 and send her to take a urine analysis. If that's what the court orders, we can do so. Okay.
Well, for right now, I'm going to, leave the kids where they are. But when we come back, we're set to come back May 25th. So on May 25th, I'd just like to have some drug results. Hopefully the April 3rd test will have those results back.
Judge, I would suggest a hair follicle again, because it was inconclusive with whatever was going on with the mom's hair at the time.
Okay. So, is that something that can be scheduled for tomorrow?
Yes, sir, it can. And if we could also, if the court could could order mother not to alter her hair in any way, coloring, cutting, processing it with a relaxer or anything, so that we can actually get an accurate and conclusive result.
All right. So, what does it take to schedule the hair follicle test, for tomorrow, the 13th?
Ms. Barthe can.
Okay, Ms. Barthe.
Our supervisor and the caseworker can initiate the 2054. Our supervisor can sign it, and it can be completed by before 5 o'clock today.
Okay. And will that be at the same location that Ms. Kennedy went previous time?
Ms. Oldag?
Yes, sir. We'll send her to the facility in Katy. That's the closest place we have for hair strand testing, so she can do it there.
And is that the same place that Ms. Kennedy went previously for the hair test?
I believe so. Yes, sir. And I can double check that, but I believe it is.
Okay. And
Can I ask something?
and wait just a second. And so what time frame is she looking at showing up for the hair test tomorrow?
Before 5 o'clock, we can have the referral over there by 5 o'clock today, if she can get it done by 5 o'clock tomorrow.
Okay. All right, Mr. Anderson.
And Judge, my client is willing to go right now to the lab if they can get it done. She'll leave here in the next 15 minutes and go straight to Katy and get it done if they can get the stuff done before she gets there.
Yes, sir. It'll take us no more than 10 minutes. I can get with Ms. Yeager right now.
Okay.
I mean, that way if the department thinks she's trying to alter her hair or whatever else, there's no time to do that if she goes today. So we would be more than happy to go today.
Okay. So, but now do they close at 5? Okay.
I was just going to double check that. I believe it's 5, but I'm going to double check that right now.
Okay. So Ms. Oldag's going to check, but so we're looking at we're inside 2 hours to get down there. That's my only concern. So if she can't do it today, then she need to do it tomorrow. But it'd be better if she could just leave right now and go straight there.
She's free to leave, Judge.
Anything else for Ms. Kennedy? So Ms. Kennedy, just be ordered to go directly to that facility and submit a hair follicle test. And between now and then, don't change your hair anyway. Right now we're set for another hearing May 25th. So, hopefully by May 25th, we should have 2 drug tests and several other visits completed. Okay.
Judge, I just looked on their website. It says they close at 6.
Okay, good.
So.
All right, good. All right. So, and between the last hearing and today, Mr. Smith, how much time have you had?
It's half an hour.
How much?
1.5 hour.
And Mr. Beckworth?
3 hours and then this hearing.
And Ms. Wagner?
3.5, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. So we will again come back on May 25th at 1:30. And then Ms. Kennedy, you go directly to the drug place today and then have the visit with the kids tomorrow.
And Your Honor, we can send Mr. Anderson.
And we go off the record, Ms. Lozano. Okay, Ms. Barthe, go ahead.
We can send them an email confirmation showing that the 2054 has been emailed to the drug testing facility in Katy as soon as we get it. That's how we've been having to communicate with them, is through email.
Okay.
And I just verified they are open till 6, but they stop collecting at 5.
Okay.
So they won't take any hair samples after 5.
Okay.
She left my office, so she's on the way. So
Okay.
All right. Real good.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. So you're all excused today.
thank you, Judge.
Thank you.